Though I sell 13 copies, including a first edition of the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, I have yet to read the thing, so I'm doing it here with you, one short video at a time. And today we're reading chapter 5 of Eldamar and the Princes of the Eldalië. See, I've done a pronunciation video, you should all watch it, but this stuff is hard, you know. I'm not a fluent Elvish speaker. I've made some notes, as ever, in my handy-dandy Tolkien notebook, knitted in Shetland wool. So, Eldamar. In this one, some elves head to the sea, and Ulmo makes them an island, and they speak to him and hear his music, which is played through shells and conches and all that. And they grow to love the sea because of that, which beforehand they were afraid of. So yeah, the Teleri love the sea, and they're the best singers. So we've got a kind of siren-esque situation happening with them. Now, Círdan, the shipwright, is lord of the Falafrim, the elves of Falas. Now, I used to live in Falmouth in Cornwall, so I think it's quite cool that the greatest shipwright to ever live is from Fal, basically. In the previous chapter, Elwë went running off into the woods with Merian, and his people have become Elgath, the Forsaken people, because of that. But he does eventually reappear, and he is like a Maiar to them. He is taller than any other elf that lives, and he has long, beautiful hair. But it ends that section with a high doom was before him. Over in Valinor, the elves that have gone are given a hill from which they can see the stars, because they still miss the stars. The hill is called Tuna. Again, I need to really absorb my pronunciation guide, but I think it's called Tuna. And they build a lamp. Yavanna gives them a tree, Galathylion, that is like Telperion, but it does not give a light of its own being, and has loads of seedlings, including one called Celeborn, as well as Númenor's tree Nimloth. These elves, they love language and words, and they split off into a lot of different languages. Of course, Tolkien's heavenly host are going to be playing around with languages. They discover gems, which they do not covet, unlike the dwarves, eventually, I suppose, and the dragons, but they give them freely, and the land is beautiful and filled with wonderful gems. And then eventually the Teleri, can't roll my R's very well, come at last and are gifted boatcraft, and they make the swan boats that we know and love that take people to the Undying Lands eventually. So yeah, the chapter ends with Ingwe and Finwë and Olwë all sort of finding their place in Valinor, and Ingwe is always held as the High King of all the elves, and he sits at the feet of Manwë upon Taniquetil. Feanor and his sons go exploring, basically, and they discover all sorts of things and sort of populate the world. So yeah, that is chapter 5. Next up is Feanor and the Unchaining of Melkor. Things are about to get dark.